Hey guys, what's going on? This is Atave here, and today we are going to look at an HTML crash course. So I made this course for complete beginners who want to get into web development and they are not finding any good tutorials on the internet. So here I am. This is my first crash course on my YouTube channel. So let's go ahead and see what is HTML. So HTML is the building block of the web. So basically everything you see on any website is built out of HTML. It might be a lot of design, but it's like the building block. It's the basic thing. Then HTML is a markup language, not a programming language. What this means is that HTML is used for structure and not programming. What a programming language can do is handle logic. HTML cannot handle logic. So if you ask HTML to do 1 plus 2, it says no, I cannot do, because it's not a programming language. It's just a markup language. Then it describes the structure of any web page. That means that however complex is the design, however animations you see, the basic thing is the HTML. Without HTML, you are not able to do any of that stuff. An HTML web page consists of tags which collectively form a web page. So you have like tags which have some specific properties, and when they come together they form a web page. And today in this crash course we are going to see how everything works, and we are going to try out some important HTML tags which you might need. And I might just launch some other crash course, and you might find benefit in that too. So let's look at why HTML. So because that's the very basic part of any website. So because it's a basic part, you cannot move on to any other web technologies without mastering HTML. Yeah, I'm using the word mastering because you can just master HTML. There's no way around, because it's way too easier. If you just put like one day in, you will just master it. So let's look at the requirements. As every other things, we have some requirements too. So as you all know, HTML runs on the browser, so you of course need a browser. If you have Internet Explorer, I have some bad news for you. We are not going to use Internet Explorer because it's long gone and it's deprecated and no one uses it anymore. But the best browsers are Google Chrome, Edge, which is like new, which is based on Chromium, then Brave browser, which is again based on Chrome, and then Safari if you're an Apple user. And you can also use Mozilla Firefox. I just forgot to mention it into the presentation. So to write HTML, you need some code editor to write your code in. So my favorite one is Visual Studio Code, although you can use Sublime Text, brackets, or Notepad. And brackets specifically is for HTML and CSS, whereas Notepad it's in Windows systems, but I would not recommend anyone using Notepad. It's not for programming. So let's get started. So first of all, make a folder wherever you can on your desktop or maybe anywhere. I have just made a folder named YouTube and it's open right here. So to make a new project, we will use a folder and we will just put it inside this folder. So first of all, let's go to our Visual Studio Code. If you have Windows, the steps might be different. You might be using different code editor, but most of the time the steps are just same, so don't worry about that. So I'll just open Visual Studio Code right now, and I'll just put it to full screen. And don't worry about this. This is the project I was working on before. So if you want to open your new project, just go to File and go to Open Folder. And now it should ask us which folder you want to open. So I'll just go to YouTube, and I want to make a new folder for our project. So I'll say HTML tutorial, and I'll hit enter. And now I'll press on open. Now this should open VS Code for us into this folder. Now this is completely blank. We have nothing. Here we need to create a new file, our first HTML file. So let's create this, and I'll call it index.html. And I'm calling this index.html for a reason, because whenever you visit, like if you imagine this is your site with all these HTML5 files, and then you have like htmltutorial.com, and if you visit htmltutorial.com, the server will first find for index.html, and this is what happens. So for example, if you go to websites like Google or Flipkart or something like that, the servers find for the first file, which is like index.html. That's the first page they load, unless you specify the file you want to load. So this is our HTML file. And now let's talk about how tags work in HTML. So basically all of the tags are enclosed in these brackets. So basically there are some tags like HTML, which can be done like this, and it auto closes for me. So yeah, if you're using VS Code, that's a good thing for you. So basically these are like HTML tags works, and there are like many tags. Like later in the tutorial we are going to see h1 tag, which is used for headings, and then this and we enclosed our data here. So like I said, this is a test heading, and there are some tags which do not need to be closed, and these are very less number of tags, so you don't need to like worry about it. You will always remember it. So it's like one of them is br, which is used to break the line. So if you have like something in one line and you want to bring it to another line, you use br. And if you want to use hr, hr just draws a line on your screen, nothing's too much special. These are basically self-closing tags. They open and close and at the same time. You can see this here. You might use self-closing tags a lot in React, but in HTML you might not see a lot of times. Yeah, you might use br a lot of times because it certainly has some use case. Now let's go ahead and see the basic structure of HTML. So before starting any HTML page, you always need to provide a doc type. So what is doc type? So doc type is, you see already VS Code has given us suggestions. So basically doc type is like this. So it says ! doc type HTML. This tells the browser, hey, that this is an HTML5 document and not an older HTML document. So you always should have this on the top so that browser does not render your page incorrectly sometimes. So now let's go ahead and start our HTML document. Now here's where all our code goes. So now let's draw the layout first. By drawing I mean let's code out the layout first. So any HTML document starts with HTML tag, and then inside there are like many different tags. So we have first head tag, which contains all the details about web page, and then we have the body tag, which contains all the content of the web page. So let's move on to them step by step. So first let's look at the head tag, and let's see what head tag can do. So basically all your style sheets and all of your scripts which need to be loaded before the content are stored here, and all the things like your title icon and lot of stuff and all your metadata, all your SEO stuff is stored in the head tag, and it's not visible to the user directly. All the content and the body is visible to the user directly. So let's go ahead and keep a title to this web page title, and I'll say HTML crash course. Now let's save this. I'll just do this capital. Let's just save this. Now how to run this file, that's the big question, because there are a lot of ways. One way is that you can just go to Finder and you can just open this and just open this, or else you can just copy this URL and paste it in your browser. I prefer just double clicking this, and already opened up my browser. Let me just grab it. Perfect. Now you see this is HTML crash course, and this came from the head. So let's go back to our code, and let's see, we had this HTML crash course and it was in the head. So if I change it back to something like HTML, just HTML, and I just save this, and I'll go back to here, and if I just see, it's not changed because we need to refresh the page every time we make some changes. Now if I refresh, you see it's HTML now. Now let's get back here, and there are a lot of things you can add here. Like when we get into CSS, I'll show them one by one, but for now let's go to body, and you can type anything here. Like if you want, like this is HTML crash course, not curse course. I'll save this, I'll go back to here, and I'll refresh this page, and you see this text. So basically if you reach till this point, drop a like, because you made your first web page. And I know if you're not a beginner, this might not be a big deal, but if you're a complete beginner, I'm sure this got your smile to your face already. Now let's look at how heading works. So imagine that you have a web page where you have details of somebody or something, or maybe you have a like travel website and you have details about a lot of different things, and you want to make headings. So if you see, headings are like huge and they are bold. So how do we make headings in HTML? So luckily HTML has a tag which is dedicated for headings. So let me show you. Let's go back to our code. Let's remove this thing, and I'll say h1. This means heading 1, and I'll show you why it's 1. First of all, let's go ahead and I'll say heading 1 and I'll save this. If I go back here and refresh this, you see this is a big text and it's bold, and it's I mean, the advantages of using h1 tag instead of manually changing its font, it's because h1 is scanned by Google, and whenever there are headings, Google just lists them, and it's better for your SEO purposes and for listing it on Google. So we won't look at all of that stuff right now, but for basics of HTML, this tag is crucial. So let's go ahead and see what the 1 indicates here. So there are 6 levels of headings: h1, h2, h3, h4, h5 and h6. So from h1, the size of the font is largest, and the h6, the size of the font is lowest. All of those means heading. So if you have like heading under a heading, you can have like h2 inside h1, and that might work. So I'll show you how. So I'll say h2 and I'll say heading 2. Now I'll go ahead and save this. I'll just copy this thing and I'll paste it 4 times, and I'll just change them to h3. I already have the extensions, those they just change. I'll add oh no, I didn't want to open this. Okay, I needed this to be h4, then I need this to be h5, and I need this to be h6. So let's go ahead and save this, and let's go back here and refresh our page. So as you see, like, these are headings, but some of them are so small that they are even smaller than the actual text, and that's okay. I mean, sometimes headings are just smaller, and you can always use like heading h1 and just use like your own custom size. It's all okay, but we won't look at custom sizes because it's a part of CSS. So let's move on to the next part. Here's something important I want to tell you. It's about a font tag. So basically, if you want some text and you want to change the color, there is a tag named font, but I won't recommend using that, but I would show you in this tutorial. So let me show you. So I'll just give it a font, and I'll just quit the font, and it's already like showing me underlines. I don't know why. And I'll just say like hello, and I'll just give it an attribute. So whatever you value pass here, you can just give it attribute. So I'll just say color. And I'll just say red. Let's see what happens. If you go back here and refresh, if you see, this is the red color. So one thing I want to tell you, never use this tag, because most of the styling you want should be done with CSS, so that all of your styles are in one place. And like, I don't really think that this is the best way to add styling to your things. CSS is the best way. It's made for styling, so use CSS. I'll just remove these things, and better I will use a p tag, which is for paragraphs. So I can just type a long thing. So this is a paragraph. This is a paragraph, and I can just put a full stop, space, and I'll just copy this over and over and over again, so that I can perfectly match how a paragraph looks. I'll just paste this. I'll just save this, and now if I go back here, you'll see there's no difference, right? So basically, how I told you, like these p tags cause automatic line breaks. So if I have like another p tag here, and if I type something more here, and if I just save, you see the line has already been broken. That's because of we have used p tag, and it causes automatic line breaks, and we don't have to use br tag here. So let's see, if I just remove my p tags here, what will happen? Let's see. Let's save this, and let's see. I'll refresh the page, and everything has come into one line, and that's really not what we want. And the spacing has also gone. So that's why p tag is good. Now I want to show you how you can basically at least change the colors. If you're trying HTML, I want you to at least know how to change the colors, right, without using font tag. So I'll just cover this back in p tags. I'll just cut this and paste this here. And now what we want to do is change the color, right? So we will use inline CSS, although this is not something you should do, but since you're just learning HTML, this is good for learning. We are using CSS here. We are not using HTML attributes for color and stuff. So you can do color, and you can write whatever you want. So you can just use red, and you can just save this thing. And if you go back here, and refresh this is red now. And you can do this to anything. So imagine if this was h1 tag or h6 tag or whatever you want, and if you use color red, that would change the text color here. So you always use p tags, don't ever use font tags. That's the job of CSS. Let CSS handle all of that. So let us see how do we include images in our HTML document. So this is very interesting because the main part of any web page might be images, because you also want images in your web page, because that might be the main part and that makes your web page look good. So let's see how to do that. So first we need some test images. So let's go to unsplash.com. Here we'll get a lot of different images we want. So we can just get a lot of, so for example, I want this one. I'll just go ahead and I'll press download. And then we will have this in our documents. I'll go to our project directory and I'll just rename this to a good name. So I'll just say image and I'll save it. Now this is a JPEG file, so you need to remember that. So let's go back to our code, and now let's see, we already have the image.jpg already in our VS Code because the folder is open and it updates real time. So now let's go ahead and import our image. So let's go out to the p tag, and the way to import images is img src, and in src you have to mention the path of your image. Since the image.jpg file is in the folder, in the current folder of index.html, we can do /, which indicates that hey, the thing we want to point is in the same folder. And then we can just say image.jpg. So for example, if your file was in a folder, so basically it was in the same folder but inside another folder, so you had some other folder, you can just say images /image.jpg. So the point to remember here is that / means that hey, in reference to the same folder of the file of index.html. In this case we have in the same folder, so let's just get rid of this and do image.jpg. And yeah, one thing more, I forgot to show you that image is also a self-closing tag. You don't need to close it yourself. So if I just save this and go back to our browser, and if I just reload this page, you can see this is a huge image. As you can see, it's like super huge. It's even difficult to see. So let me show you a quick fix how to do that. Again, we are going to use CSS for this. I won't use HTML for doing this because nobody should do that anymore. So let's see how to do that. I'll just give it a style again, and I'll say height of 100 pixels or maybe 300 pixels, and I'll give it the width of auto. So what this means, like we are giving it a height of 300 pixels, and width will automatically be set according to the height, so that the image is not stretched or like compressed and other stuff. So image is like displayed correctly. So I'll just save this thing. I'll go back here. I'll reload this page, and you should see, yeah, now you should see that image is quite smaller and it's actually visible now, unlike before where it was like super stretched out. So that's how you use images in your HTML file. Now let's look at how do you use links. So links is a very interesting topic. If you're new in web development, you might really like it, and you might just sit all day long and make links and just link them to each other and do whatever you want. It's too interesting. When I was learning, it was too interesting for me. So let's just go ahead and make a new link. I'll just go ahead and use a BR tag so that everything comes below of the image. And now we will create a new link. So creating a new link is kind of tricky, to be completely honest. In the start, I never knew how to do that. So let me show you. So we will use A means anchor tag. So we are basically anchoring to another page. So, and here href means hypertext reference. So basically you put your URL here. So basically if I want to link to google.com, I'll say https://google.com, and I'll just end this here and I'll say go to Google. And if I just save this, so basically this text will have the underline which will be linked, and after clicking go to Google, it should go to google.com. So let's see if this works. So if I just reload this page, I have this link, go to Google. You can already see that it says google.com on the bottom left. If I just click this, this goes to google.com just as expected. So let's go back, and I want to show you that how to link some different page from your own project. So you don't want to link external pages, right? Just make a new page like alternate.html. So another way of quickly setting up HTML is just press exclamation mark and just press enter. This will quickly set up all of the things. And basically these meta tags are used for SEO and sometimes for all your display preferences. I'll just get rid of them right now because those are too overwhelming as for beginner. And HTML lang, I'll just get rid of it too. Now let's go to, this is the second, I will give it a title of second page. And in body I'll say this is second page. Now let's link this page to the index.html. So I'll just remove the URL, and you already might have guessed how to do that. Since it is in the same folder, we will do / and alternate.html. And now I'll say go to second page. Let's save this. Let's go ahead and try again. I'll refresh it, go to second page. Now this opens the second page, and this is the second page. Now I want a link to go back. Of course you can use the back button, but just to show you how links work in a deeper level, I'll just show you how to make a link to go back. It's very simple. Just like we made this link, we'll just go ahead and copy this. We'll go to alternate.html. I'll just go ahead and do a BR tag here so that we get a nice little line break. I'll just paste this. I'll say index.html here, and I'll say go to main page. As simple as that. I'll save this. I'll go here. I'll refresh the page, go to main page, and we are back on the index.html. Now you can just play around and just click and click and click and click like this was a game. Like, just do it however you want. I'm kidding. You just need I know I'm just exaggerating a lot, but this was quite interesting back in the day. So let me show you how to do internal linking. So you might have seen some sites like you have a link. Once you press that, it scrolls down all the way down and you see some kind of content. So I want to show you how to do that, but for that I need to make sure that the content is scrollable. So let's go ahead and add a bunch of BRs. So I will just copy this. Let's go back to index.html, and I'll just keep spamming this until we get a scroll bar, and then we will use a p tag, and we will say scroll to me. I'll go ahead and save this. Let's save this. Yeah, if you scroll down, like super down, you will see scroll to me. Now I want this link to go to this specific part of the page. So how do we do that? So let's go ahead and first give it a name, because we want to reference it later. So we need names. So there are names, there are IDs, there are class. For this specific use case, we need the name. So I'll say section, scroll section. I'll just say scroll section, and I'll just go here href, and I'll remove this, and I'll say hashtag scroll section. And I'll just remove this. I'll say jump to content. I'll go ahead and save this. I'll check if this works. If I refresh this, jump to content. Okay, surprisingly it doesn't work. So let's see what's wrong. Scroll section. It should have scroll section. Is it ID? Let's try with ID. Yeah, it is ID actually. So if I just click on jump to section, it goes to scroll to me. So before, I think it used to work with name, but I don't know why now, because when I used to learn HTML, I used to use name. Might be changed. So that's the thing with web development. Things keep changing, and you need to catch up to all of them. So yeah, this is how linking works. So you can just link and do a lot of different stuff. So I want to also show you one more thing in links. So let's just revert this back to Google. So https google.com, and let's say go to Google. go to Google. And what I want to do is I want to open this link in a new tab. So whenever you use Google, you know that whenever you click a link, that link often opens a new tab. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. So let's see how to do that. I'll say target blank. And let me tell you right now, don't use this in production because this is not a safe way. There are some things you need to know before you do this. And I don't want to do this right now. This is just for demonstration. So let's go ahead and save this, and let's scroll up. I will just remove this scroll section from the URL bar. And if I press go to Google, it opens up new tab, and hey, we are on Google. On a new tab, by the way. So yeah, that works perfectly fine. Now let's look at something interesting. I'm talking about HTML forms. So basically you have like text boxes on web pages, like you ask for input, and that's how interactive it is done in your application. You ask for input and then you process the input, but we are not going to cover the process of inputs. That's completely different thing. We are going to cover how to take inputs, and we are going to see the different input types. So let's go ahead to our code, and now we are going to make a new form. So let me just get rid of this endless BR tags and whatever this is, and now let's make a form. So basically when you are using input elements, it's always better to use forms unless you are dealing with JavaScript and all of that stuff. Even if you're using JavaScript, form is a good way to go. So just open a form tag. Now you can just do a lot of different things. So if I just say name, and now I want a text box near it, I'll say input, and I'll say type. And now type has a lot of different things. If you can just see here, the button, checkbox, color, date time, lot of different things, but we need the text one. And if I just go ahead, and also this is also a self-closing tag. So if I just go ahead and save this, and if I just go back, refresh, hey, you can see this cute little text box, and you can just add a lot of text, whatever you want. That's the basic thing. And now then you can have checkboxes and radio buttons. I'll show you how those work. We can also have like let's give a line break, and let's have an input type radio, and this is a self-closing tag, and I'll say mail, and I'll say BR. Let's copy this thing. I'll paste this again, and I'll say female, as if we are collecting some data from the user. So let's go back and let's check how this looks. So we have this radio buttons. Now there is some problem here. There is some serious problem here. If we just click male and we click female, both of them get selected. So the regular function of a radio button is to collect just one option instead of all of them, and at this point it's collecting both of them. We don't want that. So why is it doing that? So the basic thing to fix is like giving them the same name. So let's give it a name of gender, and here also let's just give it a name of gender. So when they have same name, only one option can be chosen, and when we can also have value here. So if you're using JavaScript and you want to collect the value of this thing, so we can just add male, and we'll just copy this, we'll paste this, and we will just write this as female. And basically whenever one of them is clicked, the value differentiates them, not the name should also always be same, because then only one can be selected, and that's the purpose of checkbox of the radio button, right? So let's go back here, let's refresh. Now let's try to do this. Now I just click male, it works. If I just click female, now you see male has gone and female has been checked. If I just click male again, female has gone. That's how it works. You just give same name to both of them, and they won't ever be on at the same time, if you understand what I mean. So now let's go ahead and look at checkboxes. And checkboxes have a lot of checkboxes can be multiple select options. So let's see how that works. I'll just have like input type checkbox, and I'll say football, and I'll just give a line break. I'll just copy this, and I'll just hold on, I'll just copy this, I'll just paste this, and I'll paste this again. So football, basketball, and cricket. If I just save this, if I just go back and reload, we see all of this thing. Again, we can just choose one of the male and gender options, and we can choose multiple of this option. So I won't cover handling of those checkbox because that's a completely different thing and we don't want to deal with it right now. But yeah, you need to know that checkbox can be multiple select. Now we can also have this in the select box. So let's select box can also be just one. So let's just have like a basically a type, and here we can have a select box. So basically I don't know what type I'm covering, right? So I'm just doing this for no reason. So I'll just say select, and here we can have different options. So and these options can have values. So option value 1, and I'll say 1. If I just copy this, I'll just paste it a couple of times more, and I'll just say 2, and here I'll say 3. I should go ahead and save this, and I'll just also have a BR at the end so that we don't forget it next time. I'll just go ahead and save and just reload this page. You will see you have this select box here. So if you just click at this, you can select things now. This is also a very good thing if you are collecting some data. This might be quite helpful for you if you're collecting like state or your country. This is the best way to do it, because how many radio buttons can you display on a page? It will be just a bad user experience. I think select box must be good for all of that things when you want to save space. So let's look at the final component here. There are a lot of different things, but I'm just teaching you the basics here because this is a crash course, right? So I'll show you how to make the button, submit button. So let's go ahead and create a new button. So basically there are two types. We can use the input and we can use the button. I personally prefer the button because then you can add more functionality to it. So I'll just say button, and you can also style it, because styling that input button is kinda difficult according to me, and this one is just great. So I'll just say button type submit. So instead of input type submit, I'll say button type submit, because then it will just do the same thing. And after, I'll just close this thing here and I can say like something like submit the form, not submit the form, submit the form. And I'll also show you how to do that with input. So let's just go ahead and br slash, and now let's do input type submit. And here we cannot just say submit the form right here. We need to give it a value and say submit the form, and then it's a self closing tag. And if I just save this, just go ahead and refresh, you see this self submit the form. The first one is the button tag, the second one is the input tag. They look the same, they do the same. If you just click them, they reload the page because we haven't provided an action to it. But basically if you have an action which will not cover in this video, then this will how it work. So both of them do the same thing, both of them reload the page for now, and that's how all the form works. So I guess that's it for the HTML crash course. I know it's not a lot of content, but you know this is a crash course and you don't want to spend a lot of time on basic things. Like HTML is super basic, you can just learn, and I'll show you some way you can just have a look at all the HTML tags. So you can just go to W3 Schools, and here you can see w3schools.com, and here you can see tutorials, and you can just click learn HTML. Here are a lot of different tags you can cover, and you don't need to cover all of them. Most of them you won't even use most of them, but yeah, you can just use all of these, and you can just have a look and then understand better. I would suggest that go ahead and just have a look at it once. Even if you don't want to try it, just have a look at it once, so that whenever you are making a web page, you have an idea. Sorry for the low battery. Whenever you go ahead on a web page, you have an idea on what you want to do, and then you get remembered like, hey, that this is an HTML tag, I should use that. I should probably use that here. So yeah, that was it for today. I will release CSS tutorial very soon, and then we will move on to JavaScript and React and all of that crazy stuff. So thanks for watching. If you have any suggestions from me, just leave it in the comment section. If you liked the crash course and if this video helped you, please press like and press subscribe if you really want to see content from me again. So with that said, thanks and bye.